A team who needed a result, whether it was through good football or luck, was Chelsea. West London derby, Chelsea at home to Fulham. They managed to get the job. No surprise who the goal scorer was. Cole Palmer, who's becoming the most important player at Chelsea Football Club right now. The youngster. We spoke to him after the game, Rob, and I wouldn't say he's the most fluent. He'll get 21 years of age. He's still a kid and still learning how to work in the media. But he gave us a few nice insights into his game, and the thing that came across, Rob, and I said to Bex after, was he's obviously one of those footballers who's most happy when he's on a football pitch. He looks like, he says, he's quite an introvert off it. He doesn't get too involved in the stuff. He's not going to be in papers but the clubs and all that. That's not his thing. But he talked about having a confidence and expressing himself when he gets on the football field, and it was just really refreshing to hear a young player there. It looks like he just loves playing football.
Yeah, he does, and I think he's enjoying the fact that he's almost top man at the club. I mean, he wasn't top man at Man City, and it was difficult to get his minutes there. Always had the talent, and he's made this decision to move away. And fair play to sort of say, you know what, I want to play a little bit more. And obviously, he's a big hit, and the amount of players that Chelsea brought in, some big fees and big reputations, a few of them, well, there ain't many of them, but a few of them you'd expect to hit it off. Cole Palmer is like, well done. Like, that's it. Like, he is obviously going to be a star player for this team for many, many seasons to come, can play in every position in the front line. And I mean every position. I think he changed in the game to a false nine. Can play as a 10, can play
a 10 and a wide,
So he can play everywhere. That's not the problem with Chelsea, Rob. He's not the problem. And he's a good story. And that's great. What do you think, I'll ask you, what do you think of Enzo Fernandes in terms of a balance of a midfield with Moises Caicedo and Conor Gallagher, in terms of the blend of that? Because again, I find myself... Go on, getting frustrated. Go for it.
No, we touched on it. So it's 277 million for Caicedo and Enzo combined. Doesn't look right. Doesn't feel right. If I was the opposition, doesn't really worry me. There was a time in the game when Fulham started to put some passes together. Certainly down the left-hand side, Willian and Anthony Robinson, and that. We're starting to look dangerous, like there might be an equaliser, certainly towards the end of the game. The midfield of Chelsea couldn't control the match, couldn't put a dampener on Fulham to control and secure the one. Now, they ended up winning 1-0, and a few scrambles and things, a couple of good blocks and maybe a few chances missed for Fulham. But I'm still looking for this midfield to show me. Now, again, I looked at their ages. Enzo's 22, Caicedo's 22, so they're very young. And I'm not saying that in time and in experience, but there's 100 Premier League, just under 100 Premier League games between them. I'm not seeing enough, Rob, at the moment, and I don't know. I saw somewhere last night people saying, Caicedo showed, what a good player he's going to be. He still hasn't convinced me. He still hasn't convinced, and I think he's a good player, and I know all the numbers in his data's good and all the things you want. But with my eyes as I watch him, Rob, he doesn't look like he's totally on top of his game and organising and being a boss in there that you're going to grow with. And so I'm still unsure about the whole Chelsea midfield, I've got to be honest. I'm still unsure.
Well,
you?
Yeah, so well, I at risk of kind of changing things around here, I think there's glimpses of Chelsea, Rob. I think there's glimpses. I see glimpses of quality when sometimes Enzo will link with there's glimpses. The team, in general, right?
So these moments, absolutely.
But I think the problem is lying with the attack and the wingers, and because the wingers aren't producing enough, and that being said, Cole Palmer, when he plays out there, I guess he's technically a winger, and he has done. Sterling's been a little bit in and out. Mudrik's been quiet. Madueke's been... So what I feel that Pochettino is into, he's trying to fudge a midfield, right? Now, so what he's asking Enzo Fernandes to do, and this is where Enzo worries me. What is Enzo, right? If he's a 6, right, He's got the passing range of a six, brilliant. And that's his best asset. Enzo Fernandes is his ability to pick the right ball, and he can penetrate. He's got great vision. But what worries me about that is that as a defensive six and a conscientious defensive midfield general, if you like, to play alongside Moises Caicedo, which really sounds like a nice combination. Yeah. He worries me without the ball, and he worries me he doesn't track runners. He worries me that he doesn't do a good job of shielding the back four and helping. He worries me on his defensive side of being a six. Now, if that's the case, well, okay, then we'll give him a little bit more license. We'll play him as a number 8. Now, number 8 is the box-to-box. You're allowed to get forward, and sometimes, you can be covered a little bit in terms of your defensive side of your midfield role. Now, then it worries me that he doesn't produce enough. He doesn't produce enough goals or assists. So he's not a great 8, and he could be a great 6, but he's not quite a great 6. If it was me, in my coaching staff, I'd be making him be more conscientious of his defending, tracking runners, show film. Look, you've let him go. You've got to get back because he's not a silky 8, and he's not got the energy like Conor Gallagher's got.
Athletic,
I'll go to Conor Gallagher. Yeah. Conor Gallagher has got the energy, the nous of a 6, if you like. But then as an 8, he still hasn't got the quality to produce and score for Chelsea. I mean, we saw it at Crystal Palace, and I think we both love the way that he plays, Rob, with his energy. He's got brilliant attitude. He works back. If he sees a runner, he tracks back. Yeah. But then you're going to play him as a 6 then? Alongside... It's just a little odd. It's a little clunky. Do you know what I mean? And maybe they're one star player off of a star winger or somebody looking great to say, you're there, and we're going to play Cole Palmer as a number 10, and we're going to play, your two midfield double pivot, or whatever you want to call it, of Enzo Fernandes and Moises Caicedo, and work on Enzo to be better, and keep finding Cole Palmer. You've got a great threat on one side, and another centre forward. I think Chelsea need up front as well. Yeah. So there's little bits there that signs that there's some quality there, but it's still not coming together. No. And maybe it's going to take more signings, which is crazy given the amount of money they spent, Rob. Does that all make sense? It's almost there, but it's still lacking major bits.
I still think the whole of this, what's left of the second half of the season, is still figuring out what Chelsea are about and those partnerships and relationships. It's interesting. So, as you were talking about Enzo, and I totally agree, because he's not athletic enough. He's not that determined to get back and chase runners and do things. He wants to, kind of wants to be an 8 with a license to not have to do some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
You just made a really important point when you talked about Manchester City and Newcastle. They have two-way players.
Two-way.
The two-way. Enzo Fernandes doesn't get anywhere near either of those teams because he's not two-way enough. And if Chelsea want to be successful, they've got to get the same. They've got to get more two-way players.
And he was so expensive. I mean, he was so expensive. It's like, what can you get these days? A guy that's not really good defensively in a midfield, and a guy doesn't create a ton of opportunities, but he is a good passer. So there is a role for him in the side. Again, I don't want to go over say it all again, but it's something that.
Isn't this really what Poch's, the project in the process? Isn't that what he's got to figure out, Rob? Isn't that now what? Haven't we got to find eventually what the back four looks like? I said every unit in the team still needs what the midfield looks like, structure and balance, and then that forward line. You say, is it the wide players with a 10? Is it 2 players underneath the striker? There's still a lot of questions, Rob, for Chelsea.
Yeah, it is, and it's because the attack is faltering, and that he's trying to be creative, a way to create and score more goals. There's a little sense, Rob, now that Chelsea have won 3 Premier League goals, Premier League games on the spin, and there's a little bit of talk out there that is this it now? Are they going to go on a big run? Well, I think I'm right here. I think it's Crystal Palace. These victories are 3: Crystal Palace, Luton, and Fulham, and they were all very, very tight, just by a single goal. Remember, they lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup, so they're not into some purple patch. They're not figured it all out. They just haven't yet, or not. Well, let's see going forward. But they're not 3 convincing wins against really great sides. They won, and that's good, of course, and they won this game. And we're not trying to be hard on Chelsea. We're just trying to try and think about how they can get to how they want to get. And I think it's you know, there's 2 or 3 more. I mean, Ben Chilwell, Rob is a positive, isn't he? Come back off the bench. He's been out injured for forever, for a long time. That's good news. It might push Levi Colwell, I think, is a brilliant centre back, into centre back. So it could look, you know, it could look pretty good. But there's some important pieces missing, and that midfield kind of conundrum is something that Poch, that's what he's paid to do. Got to figure it out.
Next month as well, Rob. So it's the second leg against Borough. They've got an FA Cup game, and they play Liverpool in the Premier League the next week. So we'll kind of know where they are in domestic cups.
Yeah.
You know, is this league form something, you know, if we go and get a result against Liverpool, then we might be starting to talk. They've turned the corner and things are moving on. So, important month coming up for Pochettino and his team. It was interesting on that one, Rob, as well. Something just come out, and I'll throw it out at you, and we may hear something. But apparently, after the game yesterday, he was very upset about something that happened before the game to do with preparation of the match. And he put it out there, Pochettino, but didn't take it any further. So, not quite sure what that is, and not sure we'll hear anything more about it. But interesting that he said he didn't think there was something wrong in the preparation of the players.
Well, maybe some, you know, a lot of young players, Rob, and these young players have come from different clubs around Europe, and maybe their habits and their attitude and stuff is different to what he expects. Yeah. And I think you made a point a while ago, Rob, about this might take a couple of seasons for Poch to really mould this group. This is such a big, young group that's new to this league that it might take time and little things like that. Wasn't some Noni Madueke? Did he get some criticism from the manager about attitude or something in training or something in preparation for a game? I don't know whether it's the same thing. And again, I apologise, I ain't got my facts. But I think so. There's little little things out there that
it's
things
not just the football,
could be done
is it,
better.
Rob?
And
you know, as a manager there, it's not just a football. It's a culture. It's a dressing room. It's the way people interact. The way the football club. All those things have a bearing on what we see on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. Little word for Fulham, because again, I just feel like every time I see Fulham, they played pretty well. I watched the League Cup game against Liverpool where they got themselves ahead and back. Just short maybe a bit of finishing power around Jimenez. Had a couple of chances, didn't quite go for him. Obviously, Willian's a threat and Robertson on the wide areas, Wilson on the left. I just feel with Fulham, I think they'll be okay. I don't think they'll get caught up in any real relegation worries. But, play good football, have decent structure. You can see the work that they do, and they've got good players amongst them. Just feel like they could do with a bit more cutting edge.
Yeah, I mean, there was a thought that Raul Jimenez was going to go on a bit of a run now. His form's been better. Yeah. I like Andres Pereira as an attacking guy. I think they've got a really good manager, and I think he's an experienced manager now. I think it's really stable football club Fulham it is at the moment, and I think there's some really good parts to the side. I was actually a little, I don't know. I just thought they might be a little better at Chelsea. I know it's a derby, and I know what the expectations lie between these two clubs. I just expected a little bit more from Fulham, and I think that's probably maybe a bit of their story, Rob. They can look really, really great and like wow, look, and then they can disappoint and lose games you didn't expect. They're a bit streaky. I feel like Fulham this season, and they lost the game and they'll be disappointed. But I just think there was a bit more there for them if they were at their best, and I just don't think they were at their best. But no question, I feel like they're very solid, very stable. It's a good squad of players with some nice individual technical. I think they picked up good signings over the last couple of seasons to make sure that they're. I just like the way they defend as well, particularly from the game. Kenny Tete, I think, is often he's another one I've underappreciated. I think we might have had him last year, Tete, the right fullback of Fulham. Yeah. He didn't have to do a good job, Robbie. He's a good defender, steady on the ball. I think he's a fan's favourite, and I think he was missed last year. Was it last year? He was out injured for a while, so I just thought I made a quick note about him. Like he's one of those unsung guys at a club that is really important to the way they defend.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.